Hey, how everybody doing? Welcome to the War on Drugs AM podcast. I want to thank you for subscribing. I hope you subscribe as we continue the movement because I want you to understand as I journey through life, the transitions that I have had to make for myself, and being that I am a true Frisconian, I thought that I will time in because we are down to the wire. So I thought I would time in on the conflicted Frisconians, which is people like myself, which of course I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. But there is a lot of people that is very, very conflicted, don't like her, and have these opinions about how she sent them to prison back in the days, and she was really like harsh on crime, and then again she wasn't because she didn't offer the death David Hill the death penalty. So I want to make it clear that I don't know Kamala Harris personally. I never met her when she was a San Francisco district attorney, but I was caught up in the system during her term. The crime I committed was carjacking, robbery, and assault which intended to do bodily harm. It was a chaotic time in San Francisco. Violence was rapid, homicides were high, and the city felt out of control. A lot of people don't like Kamala Harris. Let's be clear. Now, um, now that she's our vice president and potentially our next president because they felt she prosecuted people with zero tolerance back in her San Francisco district attorney term, which was between probably like I experienced her in 2004. So they said she was too harsh, but people need to understand because I was here, I lived it. When the city has spiraled out of control like that, something needed to take, a strong stand. If you don't know things, if you don't know things don't get better and people think they can continue to break the laws without consequences, which stands out at the most about Kamala Harris to me was her compassion, particularly in the case of David Hill. I know a lot of people have different opinions about that, which is to be expected. So David Hill was a young man, 21-year-old young African American black male from the West Mob in Bayview, Hunters Point. He was caught up in the chaos of the war on drugs. He shot and killed Officer Isaac Espinola on April the 10th of 2024. And Kamala, VP Kamala Harris did not offer the death penalty at the time. Kamala Harris refused to seek it. So that showed me something about her character. She understood the conditions of the black people in San Francisco that they had to be faced with. And I just believe that taking his life was not the solution to, like, so to speak. But I just want to say rest in peace to Officer Espinola because he was a really good young man. And thank you for your service. Thank you for all those nights you called me. Thank you for all the nights for the intervention with my son. And thank you for just being an all around soldier. I'm really sorry that happened to Officer Espinola. And we're going to give a moment of silence just out of respect. Thank you. And then I want to continue. And someone who lived through the times out here when all that was going on out in on this point. I felt it was important to share the story because the world had plenty to say about Kamala Harris, but those of us who lived it should speak up. And she didn't send me, but I was caught up in a very bad situation that probably would have got me in a lot of trouble and sent me to prison, but under her watch. But the young lady just happened to cuss her out, and so she released me, and they dropped the charges. So Kamala Harris for president of the United States of America. You know, she, who's to say? I can't predict. All I can say is either way it go, we have to do our part in society in America, regardless of who's the president. I think that's my whole play in this here movement. And as we continue this conversation, it is important to peel back the layers of what really happened. Is what's really happening in this 2024 election. The media is painting pictures that don't necessarily reflect the reality that we live in, especially in urban communities. They show us what they want us to see, often neglecting the voices of those who are struggling the most. And that's exactly why I'm here to bring those voices to the forefront. Let's talk about why some people are drawn to Trump. We have to recognize that his appeal isn't always about political and plans. It's often about the image he projects. He's a strong man figure, playing on fears and frustration. But we need to ask ourselves questions. A question: is that the kind of leadership that we want to uplift us, or is it more about maintaining a system that's already rigged against the most vulnerable? And then there's Harris. On the surface, she represents progress, someone who looks like us, talk like us, and understand our struggles. But we need to be critical about, you know, casting a vote with her. We need to ask whether her policy will actually lead to the change that's desperately needed in America. Representation matter, but actions matter more. And this election isn't just about picking a side. It's about understanding how we as urban communities are being played. It's about recognizing the plutocrat behavior, like Trump, the wealthy elite, like, him. He's a plutocrat who use the power to manipulate the masses of even those who look like us. And even those who look like us might not have our best interests at heart. So stay with me as we just dissect this election cycle, dig into hidden agendas, and uncover the truth in the media that the media won't tell you. It isn't just about politics, it's about survival. We've got to start, just waking up on all this, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay informed. The stakes are too high to fall for the same old trickery. On the War on Drugs AM podcast, we are not just talking about our we're strategizing, we're educating and empowering, because in this game of manipulation and power, knowledge is the only thing that will set us free. And if you don't get your game from Muff Talk TV, that means we all lose plays. Thank you for listening to the War on Drugs AM podcast, down to the wire. Conflicted Frisconians. October 15th, 2024.